In 1995, millions of people stopped what they were doing to watch a courtroom drama unfold live on television. It wasn't a movie. It wasn't a show. It was the O.J. Simpson murder trial, a case that shocked America and changed media, justice, and culture forever. It was a story that stopped a nation. For 16 months, America was glued to its television screens. Workplaces paused. Classrooms fell silent. Everyone watched. The subject was O.J. Simpson. He was a hero, a football legend, a movie star, a man everyone thought they knew. But now he was accused of a terrible crime. The trial became more than just a legal case. It became a national obsession. It was a live, unscripted drama that played out every single day. It was a spectacle that pulled back the curtain on fame, justice, and the deep divisions within American society itself. Before the trial, Orenthal James Simpson was an American icon. He had risen from poverty to become one of the greatest running backs in football history. He won the Heisman Trophy. He broke records in the NFL. After football, he became a beloved celebrity. He appeared in movies like The Naked Gun. He was a charming and successful pitchman for Hertz rental cars, seen smiling as he ran through airports. He represented the American dream. He was a black man who had crossed every racial and social barrier to achieve incredible success. To many, he was simply the Juice, a figure of admiration and affection. The early 1990s were a tense time in America, especially in Los Angeles. The city was still recovering from the 1992 riots. Those riots had erupted after the acquittal of police officers and the beating of Rodney King. The event was caught on video. It exposed a deep mistrust between the black community and the Los Angeles Police Department. This history of racial tension and police misconduct became a critical backdrop for everything that was about to happen. The O.J. Simpson case did not occur in a vacuum. It landed squarely on this fault line, a crack running deep through the heart of the city and the nation. This context is essential to understanding why the trial captivated so many people. On the night of June 12, 1994, a tragic discovery was made. Outside a condominium in the upscale Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles, two people were found dead. They were Nicole Brown Simpson, O.J.'s ex-wife, and Ronald Goldman, a young waiter. The scene was brutal. Both had been viciously stabbed multiple times. Nicole was the mother of O.J.'s two youngest children. Goldman was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. He had come to the condominium to return a pair of eyeglasses that Nicole's mother had left at the restaurant where he worked. He and Nicole had a troubled history. Their marriage had been marked by allegations of domestic violence. Police had been called to their home multiple times. Just a few hours after the bodies were found, detectives went to O.J.'s nearby Rockingham estate to inform him of his ex-wife's death, and the investigation began to focus solely on him. At O.J.'s estate, detectives found more disturbing evidence. They saw a white Ford Bronco parked outside. On the driver's side door, there appeared to be a spot of blood. Detective Mark Furman, who would later become a controversial figure in the trial, scaled a wall to enter the property. He claimed he was concerned for Simpson's safety. On the grounds, Furman found another bloody glove. This one was a right-handed glove. It appeared to be the mate to the left-handed glove found at the crime scene. The pieces of the puzzle seemed to be falling into place, pointing directly at the famous football star. The evidence against Simpson mounted quickly. He had a fresh cut on his left hand, which he claimed he got from a broken glass in his Chicago hotel room. He had flown to Chicago late on the night of the murders. But his story seemed inconsistent to investigators. The timeline was tight. On the evening of June 17, 1994, something incredible happened. O.J. Simpson was supposed to turn himself in to the police. He did not. Instead, he was spotted on a Southern California freeway. He was a passenger in a white Ford Bronco. His friend and former teammate, Al A.C. Cowlings, was driving. O.J. was in the back, reportedly holding a gun to his own head. What followed was not a high-speed chase. It was a slow, surreal procession down the empty freeways of Los Angeles. Police cars followed from a distance. Helicopters swarmed overhead, broadcasting the event live to the world. The chase was a television phenomenon. News networks broke into their regular programming. Even the NBA Finals were interrupted to show split-screen coverage of the game and the Bronco. An estimated 95 million people watched. It was reality television before the term existed. People gathered on overpasses, holding signs that said, "Go OJ, go." It was a strange mix of a funeral procession and a parade. With O.J. Simpson in custody, the legal battle began. The prosecution was led by the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. The lead prosecutors were Marcia Clark. Christopher Darden Clark was a tough, experienced, and meticulous prosecutor. She was convinced the evidence was a mountain that pointed directly to Simpson's guilt. Darden, a black prosecutor, was added to the team later. His presence was seen as important in a case with such strong racial overtones. They believed they had a straightforward case based on DNA evidence, a history of abuse, a trail of evidence connecting Simpson to the crime scene. They were confident they would secure a conviction. Facing them was a legal defense team of unprecedented star power. It was quickly dubbed the Dream Team. It was led by the charismatic Robert Shapiro, but the team's most commanding presence was Johnnie Cochran Jr. Cochran was a brilliant and theatrical lawyer known for his powerful courtroom speeches. He was also celebrated for taking on cases of police misconduct. He aimed to put the Los Angeles Police Department on trial. The team also included F. Lee Bailey, Barry Scheck, Peter Neufeld, and DNA experts. The judge presiding over this monumental case was Lance Ito. Judge Ito became a household name. The trial was televised. His face was on screen every day. He had to manage huge personalities in the courtroom. He also faced intense media scrutiny outside. He allowed cameras in the courtroom, a decision that defined the trial's public nature. His rulings on evidence would be critical. He was the man in the middle of a growing media hurricane. The cast of characters was set. On one side, the prosecution with a mountain of forensic evidence. On the other, the Dream Team, ready to challenge it and argue racial prejudice and police conspiracy. In the middle, Judge Ito, refereeing the trial of the century, watching it all, the American public, a jury of the nation. The legal strategies were clear. The prosecution would focus on the evidence. The defense would focus on creating reasonable doubt by attacking the credibility of the evidence and the people who collected it. The criminal trial of O.J. Simpson began in January 1995. It lasted for nearly 9 months. It was a marathon of testimony, legal arguments, scientific debate. The prosecution laid out its case piece by piece. They presented extensive DNA evidence. Blood found at the crime scene matched Simpson. Blood found in his Bronco. Blood found at his home matched the victims. This was the heart of their case. In the 1990s, DNA evidence was still a relatively new tool. It was a complex tool in the courtroom. The prosecutors, Marcia Clark, Christopher Darden, they worked to explain its power to the jury, arguing it formed an undeniable link between Simpson and the murders. The prosecution built a narrative around motive. They detailed a long history of domestic violence by Simpson against Nicole. They played a chilling 911 call Nicole had made, with O.J.'s screaming in the background. They presented photos of her bruised face. The goal was to portray Simpson not as the smiling celebrity everyone knew, but as a jealous, controlling man capable of extreme rage. They argued this rage finally boiled over on the night of the murders. They presented a timeline that gave Simpson just enough time to commit the crimes and get to the airport for his flight to Chicago. However, the Dream Team was prepared to attack every single point. Led by Johnnie Cochran, the defense argued the evidence wasn't as solid as it seemed. They suggested the crime scene had been contaminated. They questioned the integrity of police work. The defense's DNA experts, Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld, cross-examined the prosecution's witnesses. They created doubt about how the blood evidence was collected and stored. They raised the possibility that samples had been mishandled or even planted by police, turning the prosecution's strongest evidence into suspicion for the jury. The defense shifted focus onto the Los Angeles Police Department, arguing Simpson was the victim of a racist police force determined to frame a famous black man. Their primary target was Detective Mark Furman, the officer who found the bloody glove at Simpson's estate. The defense accused him of being a racist who planted the glove. This strategy was designed to resonate with a jury that was largely African American and deeply familiar with the history of police misconduct in Los Angeles. The trial became less about the evidence and more about who the jury trusted: the police or the defense's narrative of a conspiracy. On October 3, 1995, after less than 4 hours of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. The nation came to a standstill. 150 million people tuned in. Live on television. In court, O.J. Simpson stood.
Not guilty.
The courtroom erupted. The Dream Team celebrated. Across America, reactions split sharply. It was like two different trials. The verdict exposed a deep national rift. Public reactions split along racial lines. Most white Americans were shocked and outraged. They saw overwhelming evidence of guilt. Many believed fame and wealth let a murderer walk free. Many African Americans felt relief and vindication. For them, it wasn't about innocence. It was the police getting a taste of their own medicine, a symbolic victory against a biased justice system. Television cameras showed both sides in real time.